Okay, so we had already talked in class about how to conjugate regular verbs. So now we're going to look, and then we've talked about what it means to be irregular. And now we're going to talk about a few irregulars. So to start with, every verb has two pieces. It has a stem and it has an ending. And that ending dictates what series of endings you would add to your verb to say different people are doing that action. So this verb means to want or to love, but let's say I had to speak. This ending right here tells me I need to add these endings, and I add those endings to say who's doing the speaking. So if I leave my stem, here's my stem. If I leave my stem alone and I start adding O to my stem, hablo, and then hablas, and then habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan, I've said different people are doing the speaking. If it's hablo, I'm speaking. If it's hablas, you're speaking. If it's habla, he or she is speaking, etc. Okay? So when it's a regular verb, that's all you do. You keep the stem. The stem lets everybody know the action, whether it be speaking, whether it be eating. So for example, if I write eat, comer, then you know that when you hear come, everybody knows that eating's happening. Even though you're hearing different endings, if I say como, comes, come, comemos, comes, comen, everybody knows that eating is happening, and then those endings are letting us know who is doing that eating, okay? So, but I don't change my stems. You can hear hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan, como, comes, come, comemos, comes, comen, okay? But when you have irregular verbs, it doesn't fit that pattern of just leaving the stem alone or adding the ending that you're supposed to. Like if it was an AR verb, it gets these AR endings. If it's an ER verb, it gets ER endings. So if you remember the verb ser, if I write out ser, let's put it right here. Ser is an ER verb, but you can see that when I conjugate it out, ser, it doesn't keep its stem, which is supposed to be an S, and then you add these endings. You don't have so, se, semos. You have soy, eres, es, somos, soy, son. Ser is irregular, okay? Because I messed with the stem and I also have messed with the endings. So when you have irregular verbs, you're either going to mess with the stems or you're going to mess with the endings. And here's another example of one you've done a little bit. Tener, tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen, okay? So when I did tener, you can see that my endings are the same endings that go with an ER verb. It's an ER verb, so it should have these endings. And you can see that that's exactly what I have, right? Oops. You can see this is exactly what I have. However, my stem is a little different. My stem is supposed to be T-E-N, but you can see that I have T-E-N-G, T-I-E-N. Okay, so tener is also irregular. So what makes a verb irregular is either messing with its stem, like tener, or messing with its endings, like ser, or some kind of combination of the both, which is really what's happening with ser. So there's a whole set of verbs called stem changers, and they're called stem changers because they're going to get the endings that you would normally associate with them, but you've got to make a spelling change in the stem. Okay, and there's 3 types. I think this chapter just gives you one type. I'll go ahead and tell you all 3 of them, and I'll circle the one we're going to do. So you can have O to UE stem changers, which also there is one U to UE that falls in there. You can have E to I stem changers, and you can have E to IE stem changers, which is what we're focusing on in this chapter, okay? So if you're told a verb is a stem changer, that change is going to happen for every subject pronoun except for nosotros and vosotros. So you can see right here, and in fact, Like in your book, they had this verb along with a friend. You see querer and preferir. They're listed straight up and down. You can see the change happening everywhere but nosotros and vosotros. Oops. But a lot of times charts will be written side. Oops, I'm not doing any of this right. Charts will be written side by side. Because what you've got here is first person, second person, third person, and those are all the singular. Then you go first person, second person, third person, and there's a plurals. So a lot of times what books will do is write it side by side. They'll go first person all the way across, second person all the way across, third person all the way across, and then this is singular and this is plural. When you do that, it actually forms a boot, so they'll call this these conjugation rules the boot rule, because you can see that the change happens everywhere but nosotros and vosotros. And hold on, I'll clean that up just a little bit. Whoops. Well, I don't know. I think if I try to clean that up, it's just going to take too long. So, but you can see that it forms kind of a boot right in here, right? You see, so the change happens everywhere but the nosotros and the vosotros. So they often call this the boot rule. So whenever you're told a verb is a stem changer, and the ones you've got are E to IE, that means, so they've given you, your book actually gives you a few of them. So I'll write them out. We've got preferir, querer, what they also give you entender, pensar, and empezar. That means that there's actually two stems that you'd use. The regular one, which is everything that's written before the ending, the IR, ER, or AR ending. So you would have prefer, and then you would also have, if there's two E's in the, or two vowels in the group, the one closest to the ending is the one that takes the change. So the stem for preferir is prefer, and the one with the change, prefier, okay? And you'll use prefer with nosotros and vosotros, and you'll use the changed one with all the other subject pronouns. And so querer is care, that goes with nosotros and vosotros, that's the normal stem. Or we're going to change that E right here to an IE because it's an IE stem changer, and that we use with every other subject pronoun. And so entender would be intend. That's what we would use with nosotros and vosotros. Or there's that E right there. I go back and make it an IE, and that's the stem that I would use with my other subject pronouns. Pensar would be pens, nosotros, vosotros. Or I can go back and change that E to an IE, and that's what I would use with my other subject pronouns. And lastly, empezar, which would be in pace, or I can go back and make that E an IE, and that's what I would use with all other subject pronouns. So let's do a little bit of practice. Yeah. Okay, so let me, let's take this. Let's hope that it fits. Okay, so there's our notes of what we have to do. And we might even want to pull in our, let's see, where are they? I had this as well. Let's go ahead and use this too. Let me just clean this up a tiny bit so we don't see all that mess. So we're going to conjugate the verbs that are in parentheses. So we've got preferir. The two stems that I have for preferir are prefer and prefier. I only use the one that's on the left with nosotros and vosotros as my subject, and the one on the right with every other subject pronoun. Here it says you're making plans to travel to Venezuela with your friend Raquel, but she always wants the opposite of what you want. Complete her answers with the correct forms of the verb querer or preferir. So we're basically just going to be using these guys right here. Okay. Okay, so we've got prefer, and it's yo. So vamos en verano. So you say we're gonna go. Let's go in the summer. And Raquel says I prefer. So if the subject is I, then would we use prefer or prefier? Well, according to this, we keep the regular stem for nosotros and vosotros, and we use the changed one for all other subject pronouns. Yo is not nosotros or vosotros, so I'm going to use the prefier stem as opposed to the prefer. And then since it's yo and preferir is an IR verb, I'm going to go down here. Here's yo. Here's my IR endings, and I'm going to add an O. Yo prefiero ir en invierno. Podemos ir en avión. And then she says, yo querer ir en tren. Since it's yo again, my options for querer are quer and quier. I only use quer with nosotros and vosotros. I need to use quier with other subject pronouns. So since it's yo, I'm going to use quier. And then it's yo. So, and it's an ER verb. So I go yo over here to the ERs and I add an O. Yo quiero. Mis padres dicen que un apartamento es mejor. That's what you say. And Raquel says, mis padres prefer. Who's doing the preferring? My parents are or they are. I'm just going to put this as ellos so you know where that's coming from. And so again, if it's ellos, ellos is not nosotros, vosotros. So I still need the prefier. So I'm just going to write prefier. Preferir is an IR verb, so I'm going to go down here to ellos, and I'm going to go over to IR, and I would add an EN. Prefieren un hotel. Mi amigo Juan recomienda las playas en Venezuela. And then Raquel says, mi amiga Lola. Who is it that's doing the preferring? Lola is or she is. That's the same thing as ella. Ella is not nosotros or vosotros either, so I still need prefier. I only use prefer with nosotros, vosotros. And so here's ella, and I go over to the IR endings, and I would add ni, prefiere. Nosotros en mi familia siempre vamos a ver museos y monumentos. Nosotros preferir. This time I am using nosotros, so now I have to switch from prefier to prefer. Okay, so notice how I did that. I used the non-stem change when my subject is nosotros. So here's nosotros, and I go over for the IR and add the IMOS. And that's how you deal with stem changers.